What's up, everybody? This is the Booch, and welcome to episode 7 of the Boochcast reviews, Darkside of the 90s. We are back again, ladies and gentlemen, black and milds and all. And of course, as you guys know, I am joined once again by the broke soulless ginger, Mr. Zack Scott.
What's up, dudes? Yes, this means the broke soldier, Zack Scott. Generally speaking, I'm not that broke yet. Alright, what episode are we talking about today? Episode 7 of Darkside of the 90s.
Yes, and this is gonna be one of the most disturbing episodes. Like, we've seen some crazy ones. I don't know if this beats the Beanie Baby episode yet as being the most fucked up. We'll discuss that as we go through, and maybe you guys can comment below and tell us, because like I said, the Beanie Baby one was hard to fucking beat. But this one will give it a run for its money, because this week we've got a tale of two cults.
Two cults.
Yes. Two of the most deranged, insane, goddamn ridiculous cults in America took place in the 90s. And some of this shit you're not gonna fucking believe.
Yeah, true.
I couldn't process half of it.
Me neither.
But we gonna take this journey together.
Yes,
and
we are.
Here we go. We have a tale of two cults.
Two cults.
The 90s are bracketed by two cults, each prepping for the end of the world. One trains for an apocalyptic battle with the armies of Babylon, and the other preps for its final exit from Earth with aliens.
Nah, I wonder who that is.
So these are convinced the world is going to end.
Yes.
And that's where these cults got the core of where they're coming from. Their actions will send shockwaves through the nation that still echo to this day. As the 90s draw to a close, there's growing concern that the Y2K computer bug could wreak havoc on the nation. That's where everybody thought computers were going to shut down, the stock market was going to crash, that everything was going to reset.
Yep.
Because, as you guys know, with most years, they do abbreviations. For example, like, my birthday's 1987. So on my, birth certificate, it would say 87. 93, 94, 95 for the 90s. So 2000, everything sets to 00. Because that's the symbol for 2000.
Yep.
On your birth certificate. So if you were born in 2000, let's say you were born April 20th, 2000. It would be 042000 for 2000. So everyone thought when the 00 happened, we're all fucked.
We're screwed.
It's like a reset button's gonna be hit on everything.
Everything. This
fucking thing was gonna fuck up everything. But for some religious zealots, the entire decade is one long string of events proving the actual end of days is fast approaching. They literally thought end of days. This is it. They were like, everything we read in the Bible, all the prophecies that people made, were going to come to reality. This is all the shit that you've been hearing for decades that most people wrote off as, hokey religious bullshit. But now it's like, oh shit, maybe they were right.
Like,
you start to think for a moment, you know what? Maybe those nutcases outside of 5 points have a point. You're starting to think. It made you think. Those crazy ones that are like, you're all headed for hell. I can smell the hell on you. I'm like, dude, it's just Axe body spray. Give me a fucking break. So, I was a college student. I was broke. You did what you had to do.
Yes, you did.
I wear a degree now, which is for men. Okay. The Iraqi invasion of Kuwait brings violence to the Holy Lands. Tornadoes ravage the American Midwest. A lot of tornadoes are coming through. I know. I remember in Ohio we had to hunker down for a big tornado that came through there. And some of the deadliest wildfires on record put California in a chokehold.
Yeah, they did. I remember the wildfires. The wildfire in California. Who's never heard of that before?
Oh, yeah. And and I actually read somewhere, I heard about this, that part of the reason there's so many wildfires in California is because there's so much kindling all over, kindling driftwood all over the place, and they never clean it up. So eventually it bursts into flames. Because nobody wants to do that because it's disturbing the habitat. That is, which I think has caused a lot of problems. Like, you want to know why gas is expensive? Because we don't drill for oil. You know why we don't drill for oil? Because everybody's like, we have to protect the habitat of the Mexican staring frog of southern Sri Lanka. Because if we mess up the Mexican staring frog of southern Sri Lanka, well, fuck the goddamn staring frog. I want cheap fucking gas.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't kill you to get us back on the Keystone Pipeline either, but I won't get into that.
No, we won't.
I won't get into that.
No,
I won't get into that.
No.
Just something to think about.
Yeah, true.
For some small groups of Christian Americans, all these events point straight to Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Armageddon. And I ain't talking about the movie with Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck. I'm talking about some real I'm talking about this is real Armageddon, like end of the world.
Yeah.
You know, this is, everybody points straight to it. That final battle between the armies of heaven and the forces of evil that's prophesied in the Bible's Book of Revelation.
Book of Revelations.
The Revelations. Yes. Revelations, my dear Watson. I don't think that's the right word.
I don't think so either.
I think it was elementary.
I don't know. Me neither.
Okay. Either way, Watson was told something. It was either elementary or fucking elevation.
Watson. I'm Sherlock Holmes. You're Watson.
The fuck I am. Sorry, Sherlock Holmes ran the ship. This is the Boochcast. I run the ship. Okay. My dear Watson.
Okay.
So, anyway, whether by nuclear devastation, environmental disaster, or a plague that wipes out billions, they're bracing for an apocalyptic event to strike sometime in the 90s. And that's the crazy part. All this shit just happens to take place during this time. And this is the key to a cult rising to power. This is how the manipulation tactic works. And it's also a trick that's used a lot in pro wrestling. And since we talk a lot about wrestling on here, I'll kind of use an example. It's like when two wrestlers are cutting a promo on each other, they tell a little bit of the truth so you believe the lie. Because if you see it happening right in front of you, you see it to believe it, right?
Yes.
So that's why, like, sometimes in a promo, wrestlers will talk about real shit that's going on, but they put it in the storyline context. That way you're thinking, okay, if A and B is real, then C and D must be real. Even though there's lies being thrown in. And that was the key. Because no one could figure out why all this was happening at once. So someone's providing you with answers you're inclined to believe. That's what allowed these cults to rise to power. All these natural disasters, all this scared, crazy shit. And when people are scared, which we've learned definitely during COVID, people will believe anything if you give them an answer to something that doesn't make sense. And we've seen it. And people fucking panic, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
One of the dumbest things I've ever heard in a presidential debate. Americans don't panic. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
All they do is panic. Every time there's a natural disaster, people panic. They try to tell people, don't panic. And what do? They fucking panic. Line up single file. What do? They trample over each other and get the fuck out. I don't even know why schools do fire drills. You know good and hell well if a fire breaks out, ain't nobody walking out single file. Especially the teachers. You will trample the students to get the fuck out of there. They felt it was the end of the human race, but not necessarily the world. So they don't think the world was coming to an end, but they think it was the end of the human race. Like when the dinosaurs went extinct. This was, we've had our time, now something else is going to show up in our place. Alan R. Warren, who wrote the book Doomsday Cults, The Devil's Hostages, says when people get scared, they start to look for something to calm them, something to soothe their nerves. So what's better than a cult? Exactly. People are looking for answers. They want something that calms them down. And that's how cults take advantage. Because they take advantage of you when you're at your most vulnerable. At your most vulnerable and in most of need of help is when toxic manipulators come for you. That's when they come to you. When you're at your most desperate, your most vulnerable, that's when they strike. Because they know if you're not at your most vulnerable, you'll see through their bullshit. For two cults in particular, their apocalyptic beliefs will lead them down a parallel path to their own self-destruction. The first is the Waco Branch Davidians.
These guys fucking batshit nuts.
And the second is Heaven's Gate. These are the two main cults that rose to power during the 90s. And, and you're going to get the differences between the two. But they're like, even though they're both cults and they both have a similar principle, when you look at their methods and you dig deeper into their beliefs, they're fucking night and day. Mm-hmm. They couldn't be more opposite. Benjamin Zeller, who's a professor of religious studies at Lake Forest College and also wrote a book on Heaven's Gate, says he couldn't understand why they would do something that to him makes zero sense, but to them makes total sense. And that's the thing. It's easy and look at something from an outside perspective and go, why the fuck are you believing in this? But then when you hear the stories, you kind of find out why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true as well. Like, when it comes to the alien one, that was just looking, I was like, okay, you believe we come from aliens. Okay, are they gray or are they little green men? This is the part where I'm glad I was raised atheist. To a certain extent. I'm not going to go there right now.
Yes. Now, Heaven's Gate, we'll start with them, was run by Marshall Applewhite. That was the name of the man who ran
one creepy looking dude.
Yes, very old man. He looked like an alien, which was kind of fucking funny.
Well, yeah, I was like...
Because I learned that, like, sometimes the older people get, the more they start looking like aliens. Yeah,
that's true.
It's kind of weird. The cult gained fame in the 90s, but it was founded in 1975. A mysterious couple in Newport, Oregon, circulated a flyer proclaiming a UFO would soon be ready to take whomever would follow them to another life, to another world. So that was what they thought. A mothership was coming to take them somewhere else. That was their belief. If you follow us, when the time comes, a spaceship will come and take us out of here, and we will go on to a better life of peace and prosperity. Now, he held a public meeting to talk about UFOs and how UFOs are real and the Bible is real and the Bible is about UFOs. That he's basically saying that everything you're hearing about in the Bible comes from aliens. This is all aliens covering up their tracks through the Bible. Jesus. Which is ironically going to piss off the Catholics.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't getting them. Dozens of people showed up to this meeting at the Waldport Inn. And that meeting at the Waldport Inn started Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
For Heaven's Gate, the Bible was interpreted through the lens of UFOs and UFOlogy. These ideas about extraterrestrial contact and that flying saucers have crash landed and that the government is conspiring to hide this from the people, like that Area 51 shit.
Yeah.
So, by the way, if you're one of those alien conspiracy theorists, you fit right in with these fucking people.
Yeah, you do.
So, you can't say UFOs are real, but these guys are fucking wacky. Yeah. So they pretty much believe what you believe.
Much.
That's literally what this was. Like, oh my god, like aliens, like those alien sightings and UFOs and shit. And the anal probes and whatever.
Cartman.
I do not have an anal probe, and I am not under alien control. I love to sing about the moon and the tuna and the springer. I love to sing about a sky of blue or a D42.
Okay.
The idea that they offered was you are not of this planet. You have been on a spiritual quest, and it will take you to the ultimate in outer space. The idea was you would leave behind your human identity, your human level, but that included your family, your possessions, your loved ones, and join them on this attempt to leave our planet. So this is one of those. This is another thing that cults do. They isolate you from your loved ones. That's another thing that cults do, and toxic people do this as well.
Yes.
Because they know if you're not around your loved ones, they can't help you find the red flags.
That's true.
That way, if you see a red flag, they're close to you, they can paint them green. And you think everything's fine.
Hey, color green, little green man. Anyways.
Yes, exactly. So that's what they do. And they make you give up all your earthly possessions and they supply you with everything you need. Which sounds good in theory.
But here's reality.
Because here's the truth.
What?
In a perfect world, you want people, government, to give you everything. But here's the reality. When they give you everything, they own you.
Yes, they do.
That's the best way to control somebody, is to make them dependent on you.
Yes.
Because if you're self-sufficient, you don't need anybody. And if you don't need anybody, then someone can say, well, I can give you this. I already got it. What the fuck you gonna give me that you don't have?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you get somebody on your team. They supply you with something that you need or really want. But if you can take care of yourself, you ain't dependent on nobody else.
Nope.
You got people in your life because you want them there, not because you need them there.
Very true, sir.
So yeah, it's all about control.
Mm-hmm.
Making you give up everything and saying, I will give you the world. Really. It's brainwashing, but it also is control.
Very control.
That's how they control you. Because everybody wants free shit. But if you're only dependent on free shit, you ain't gonna have much of a life.
No, you are not.
Yes. And for that, you have to abandon your humanity and try to act like a next level alien.
Okay.
Yes.
Act like an alien. Now, how the fuck are you supposed to act like an alien?
Well, what they're saying is try to get rid of like human temptation, human beliefs. You have to believe that. Here's the best way I can describe it. The best way to describe it is literally Broken Matt Hardy is a variation of Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, true.
Like, you realize that throughout the show, throughout this thing. Like, Matt Hardy used to talk about, like, you know, when I am broken, I am more. I am merely a spirit that exists in this vessel. But yet, my soul has been around for millions of years. I have... Yes, the dilapidated boat.
I can't handle it. The dilapidated boat. And I will call you Osgard.
Skarsgård.
I was like, first, okay, we gotta go off. When you first see Broken Matt Hardy, like, what the fuck is this? A couple months later, oh my god. Why they won't bring him back in AEW? I wonder why. Johnny. Anyways, go ahead.
But yeah, and the thing is, because he talked about, like, and he talks about, you know, like, I have danced with Cleopatra. I have fought alongside Genghis Khan. Like, he talked about his spirit and how I have existed for millions of years in different vessels. And that's why my physical, this Matt Hardy vessel, may one day perish, but my soul will live on for eons and eons. That's literally Heaven's Gate.
Pretty much prime example.
That is fucking Heaven's Gate to a T. Because that's what Matt Hardy would do. He talked about how when he was broken, he realized I am more. Which is funny because his middle name is Moore. Moore. So when you break down the code on how... That just shows you how fucking brilliant Matt Hardy is. That he created this whole other gimmick and universe. But that's literally it. You know, he believed that he was more than human. That he was, you know, I am a powerful spirit that just happens to currently exist within this vessel. And that's what he called his body, the vessel. So that's literally like fucking... So if you need... I'm just saying, to simplify for people out there, Broken Matt Hardy is like a variation of Heaven's Gate.
But it's not that batshit
It's
crazy.
Not that batshit crazy. Well, the difference is Matt Hardy's playing a gimmick. This wasn't a gimmick. They really believed this shit. They said they came from evolutionary level above human, and that they drove physical spacecrafts. That they were actually making applications for employment on their spacecraft.
Okay.
Like, you could apply to get a job to work on the spacecraft. Question.
What kind of job?
That's first question. Okay, what job am I doing?
Cashier.
I'm like, fuck that. How am I a cashier on a spacecraft?
Most likely I'll be a dishwasher, so shut up.
Well, you need a dishwasher on a spacecraft. There's food, there's drinks. That's a realistic job. What the fuck's a cashier gonna do? What is there, a gift shop? Oh yeah, we have a gift shop on here, and I'm gonna come over here and like fucking... No, I ain't doing that shit. You know? But I'm saying, like, a dishwasher's a more realistic job. Somebody needs to clean the plates after everybody's eating on the craft, because you do eat on there as well. But what I'm saying is that, you know, like, okay, how much does it pay? I'd like to know that.
True.
And is there benefits? You know, I'm just saying, at the time, depending on the pay and the benefits...
Yeah, that's true.
It's not that bad of a deal. Like
alien health insurance.
What is alien health insurance?
You get a half-off anal probe.
Half off?
Yeah.
You sticking anything up my ass, I need full coverage. I ain't doing no copay on my ass. Yeah. My ass does not do copay.
And he also, these two founders have, this founder had his name was Doe.
Yes.
I think.
Well, yes. He was Doe and his wife was T. And we learned this from a guy named Sawyer. He was in Heaven's Gate for 19 years.
That's a long time.
Yes. He spent 19 years of his life as a member of the Heaven's Gate. And he says that it was Bonnie Lou Truesdale Nettles was T.
Okay.
And Doe was Marshall Applewhite.
Yeah.
Herf Applewhite. And they were here to bring updates to the Bible and to fulfill prophecy. They said that's why they were here. T and Doe actually come to decide that they are two beings referred to in the book of Revelation as the two witnesses. The job of the two witnesses is to preach the truth of heaven and then to be martyred. And they were going to be killed on the streets and come back 3.5 days later, kind of similar to Jesus. And they claim to be millions of years old, like Broken Matt Hardy. Through the technology of the extraterrestrials, they're going to be restored to life.
Restored to life.
They can then demonstrate to the world the reality of this extraterrestrial technology and that the Bible is simply a record of extraterrestrial investigations. Oh, and that's so all these stories in the Bible, according to them, are alien sightings. Close encounters of the third kind, as it were.
As it were.
This was an extreme group. They say, come join us. We're going to live out at campgrounds. You're going to spend the day meditating. There are a lot of people in California that suddenly want to sign up for this. And try to overcome your humanity. It wasn't appealing, and it was hard to get converts. So at one point, after being heckled, T stood up and she said, the harvest is closed. That's scary.
Yep.
We're going to turn inwards. Even scarier.
Yep.
We're going to effectively go underground. Okay. We're going to stop proselytizing, whatever the fuck that means. Stop holding these meetings, and we're going to focus on overcoming our humanity. So basically, after a certain point, they just gave up on recruiting people.
Yeah.
Like, fuck this. We have a group. We're going to focus on we're going to get ourselves to the mothership, and you heathens can stay.
Stay, yeah.
So they pretty much just like, all right, fine. You don't want to listen to us? Fine. You die in the apocalypse. The mothership will come for us, and we'll go live our lap of luxury.
Have fun with E.T.
Exactly. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
The truth is out there. These guys are batshit fucking nuts. And it gets nuttier.
Yep. But when one of the co-founders succeeds in overcoming her humanity, the intended result doesn't happen.
No.
In the mid-'80s, Bonnie gets increasingly sick. Turns out she has cancer. Which spreads, and then eventually she passes away. And she does not, as far as anyone can tell, get picked up by a UFO.
Nope.
So now, after this, Doe had to operate alone. And when that happened, Applewhite changed. And he started to look at things in a different light. He was distraught, but he got over it very quickly. Which, in a cult, that happens.
True.
When you have a cult mentality, you get over death a lot quicker because you understand it's part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
When your whole thing is about, we're going to die and then be reborn and go in this UFO, you're not as sad when the person dies because you're like, okay, they're going to a better place. You know, it's kind of like when, like, if you're, you know, you have a friend or a relative that passes away. Mm-hmm. Well, that's one of the things they say to reassure you. Hey, they're in a better place. That's if you believe in heaven, at least now you know they're in heaven. They're amongst the clouds. they're hanging out with whatever dead friends or relatives. And when you go to heaven, you'll see them again.
Yes, you will.
If you came up, you would see the two of us just chilling on a cloud.
You be in heaven, I won't.
Nah. Oh yeah, I know. I know. I wonder if heaven has Zoom. We'll try to do the podcast that way. I have clouds in the background. He's got flames in the background.
Yeah, okay, moving on.
Yeah, welcome to the Purgatory cast.
Zack the Demon, Booch the Angel. Wow, what a coincidence.
Yes. As the sole leader of the group, he makes a profound shift in his philosophy. He now claims he is Christ reborn and is the second coming. So he's Kanye West. Okay.
Okay.
The group has a sudden shift towards the idea that, well, perhaps they're not gonna, in an embodied form, get onto the spaceship and fly off.
No.
But it might be something in a more metaphysical, metamorphic, spiritual level. Mm-hmm. So that's when they start to realize, okay, when we go into the spacecraft, the vessel doesn't come with us.
Oh, so you spiritually leave on the mothership.
Yes. Now our souls, our spirits will go into the spacecraft, and the vessel will just perish.
Broken Booch.
Wonderful!
And I'm just sitting here. I'm supposed to be the one who's more broken than you, but apparently not. But okay.
Well, go ahead, Broken One. Speak your story. Give us your testimony.
Testimony? I don't have any testimony. I already know I'm going to hell, but that's okay. I'm living with that.
Yes. At the start of the 90s, the number one book among American Christians is a fictionalized account of the end of the world called the Left Behind series. Of all the books my mother made me read, thank God she didn't make me read that one.
Mine neither.
It's a retelling of the book of Revelations. Hundreds of millions of people being killed, with demons and angels fighting, and meteors falling, and rivers of blood and government conspiracies. This was pop Christian culture. Like, back then, Christians were heavy into this shit. Mm-hmm. The books remained New York Times bestsellers through the early 90s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. These were New York Times bestsellers.
Mm-hmm. Until one group of books came in and destroyed them.
Oh, God, I don't want to know.
No, you know what they are.
Is it that four-eyed kid with the scar?
Funny. Yeah, that actually was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's him? Okay. I figured. Now, while Heaven's Gate continues its self-exile,
yes,
another group preaching Armageddon is about to grab the nation's attention. And this is, of course, the Branch Davidians. So they kind of show up while Heaven's Gate's kind of hiding out. Now, for the Branch Davidians, the end times comes a little bit sooner than they do for Heaven's Gate. The leader of the Davidians was a man named David Koresh. He's the leader of this group.
Yep.
Who says he is someone who's found grace in the sight of Christ. He was the child of a single mother who had him when she was 14. He spent some time in East Texas living with his grandmother, who took him to a Seventh-day Adventist church. I hope I pronounced that right. The Seventh-day Adventists are a religious group that focuses a lot of their attention on the end times. When Christ will return, and there will be a great conflict, and the believers will go to heaven, and everyone else will suffer and go to hell.
So, I wonder who those people would be.
Yes. So, if basically, by the time this happens, if you haven't accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you're headed for hell as far as they're concerned.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. The Branch Davidians were founded in the 1950s and built their new Mont Carmel Center on the outskirts of Waco, Texas. By the early 1990s, David Koresh had taken complete control over the Waco compound. He said he had a vision, and he was the Messiah, come back, and was the figure that was going to bring the end of the world.
I want to know something. Think he was taking any drugs when he was thinking this shit? Swear to God. I was like, dude, you had to be on some hardcore shit to do either meth or acid. Or both.
Or maybe he was just fucking whacked.
Or he'd be whacked in the fucking head. Like, I'm the Messiah. I was like, oh boy. I was like, okay, you're batshit crazy. Okay, FBI, hello.
Yes. And here's the thing. The followers started buying into it. They really believed that he was who was being talked about in the Bible. he was the new Jesus.
Yes, he was.
He was a very exciting figure, and he had a photographic recall of the Bible. So he could take you to Daniel and Isaiah and then Revelation and back again in a way that just dazzled people. And so those folks who followed him absolutely believed that he was the Messiah.
Yes.
And I'll tell you right now, that's another key thing.
What's that?
If you're going to trick people into something, know your shit. He learned this by going forward, backward, side to side, diagonal. He knew the Bible. He knew the Bible
like the back of his hand.
Like the back of his hand. Yeah. And by doing that, people believed him. Because let's be honest. How many people you know can memorize the Bible?
I know some people who can do quotes, but not memorize it by like the back of their hand.
Yeah, I'm talking word for word the fucking Bible. Nobody. I don't know nobody that can do that.
I don't know anybody.
Keep this in mind. Even at church services, the priest opens the book and reads from the book.
Yes, he does.
He don't fucking stand up there and just preach the whole thing walking around. And if he does, it's because he memorized a section that he's doing for that particular sermon.
Yes.
This dude knew the Bible all over the place, which again is a way to convince people.
Very true.
So he knew his shit. Now we find out later how fucked up he really is, but he knew his shit.
Yes, he would. Yes, he did.
Now, the one thing he has in common with Applewhite is that he claims to be the second coming to help humanity reach the next level after Armageddon destroys the planet. But while Applewhite plans to go in a UFO, David Koresh has a more violent approach.
Very violent approach.
He believes if you will die for God, you must also kill for God. And the outside evil forces of the world were going to come in, and they were going to have to fight, and they were going to go up in a fiery battle. Yes. So basically, that's the plan. Eventually, someone is going to come for them. There's going to be a fight. And if we shall die in this fight, we will go to heaven, because we will have died with honor.
Honored, yeah. Okay, die with honor from a guy who thinks he's Jesus Christ and a bunch of horrible shit.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what kind of Kool-Aid you're drinking, or whatever kind of acid you're on, but this shit was fucking nuts. It even gets crazier. Continue.
Another difference between the two cults is how they approach their sexuality. For Heaven's Gate, abandoning their humanity was key, because in their mind, it was about going beyond this earth, and that culminated in celibacy. Not only did it mean giving up sex, but also giving up your sex drive. Doe called it beyond human. And you're going to lose a lot of people right there.
Yeah.
Celibacy?
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
You ever seen the movie How High with Red Man and Method Man?
Yeah.
Remember that scene? Like, remember the whole concept is they got high. He saw his dead friend. He helped him cheat on the SATs. So because they got great scores on the SATs, they're getting all these colleges that are coming in trying to recruit them. And they're going through, they're listening, they're going like, okay. Then they hear a couple things, they go next. Then they hear a couple things, go next. Next. There's a guy that comes in. Have you given any thought to celibacy? Next. Like, he didn't even. Nope. As soon as he heard celibacy, out. Get out. Get the fuck out. That's what that reminded me of. All I'm thinking is, you must be celibate. Bye. See ya.
See you later. Bye.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
Nope.
See. Even if I entertain the fact that I'm going out of here in a UFO, I can't have sex?
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you, man?
A lot.
No, bro. That don't work for me, brother.
Nope.
That don't work for me. Zach, does that work for you?
No, it does not.
No.
No.
Celibacy? Nope. That ain't the life for me. They wanted to be space angels. Genderless beings. Genderless beings. Too bad they're not around today. They'd have more people.
They would have a lot more people.
Genderless beings. Where the fuck have we heard that?
I don't know.
Who didn't need to eat or to sleep or to procreate or even to breathe. Okay, None of this look ridiculous to anyone?
Apparently not.
Okay, eating, kind of need to do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally a natural thing in your body. Mm-hmm. Your stomach growls when you need food. Your body, you get tired and you need sleep eventually.
Yes, you do.
You can try to stay up for 24 hours. I've tried it. It ain't cool.
It ain't fun.
I've done it before. The shit ain't fun.
No, it's not.
Jesus Christ.
Like, I need my beauty sleep. Thank you very much. Shut up.
Beauty sleep?
Yes, beauty sleep.
Apparently you didn't get enough of it.
No, I didn't. So shut up. At least I'm here.
Procreate. Okay, I'm down. I don't mind that. Procreate's not exactly something on my list of priorities right now.
No, it's not. Or mine.
Yeah. Okay. So I can get down with that. But, dude, you realize you can have sex without procreating, right? Do people not understand that?
It's called a condom.
It's condoms, birth control pills, pulling out. You can have sex without trying to have a kid. It is possible.
Very possible.
People don't fucking understand that?
No, they do not.
It's like, why do you want to sex? I don't want to get pregnant. Okay, I'll put a fucking condom on, problem solved.
There you go.
There we go. And it's a Trojan man. So I know it's going to work. And if it don't work... Like, that's why if I was ever on the Maury show and I wore a Trojan condom and the girl got pregnant, they said, if it turns out you're the father, what are you prepared to do? Well, first I'm suing the Trojan man. Before I go into that spiel of, I'll be a dad, I'll take care of it, the first thing I'm saying is I'm filing a lawsuit against the Trojan man. I am taking the Trojan man to fucking court. Because I know I wore this when I hooked up with her. Mm-hmm. So if this thing didn't work, me and the Trojan man having a little chat. I got a Trojan ass to fucking whoop. Yeah. See this? This is my Trojan horse. And it's not sneaking into your ass, you'll see it coming. Now, some members, oh God, here we go. Mm-hmm. Some members even chose to get castrated.
I'm good.
What?
But I can't. I don't.
Out. Here's the thing. Even. Okay, let's say by some miracle, you got me to give in to the celibacy. Mm-hmm. All right, I'll be celibate. Now you want to take away my nuts?
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Okay. There's no way I'm doing any sort of castration.
Ooh, I'm good.
Castration is reserved for two types of people. Rapists and child molesters. That's it. Rest of y'all new. Hey, not taking away my goddamn nuts. You nuts if you think you getting my nuts.
Hey, what do you know? That rhymes.
Hey, I'm putting that on a t-shirt.
Okay, there
you nuts if you think you taking my nuts.
On the Boochcast website for $10.99.
Yes. Trademark Booch 365 Entertainment. TM. Castration in the group was never a requirement. Okay, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, I'll follow you. I'll maybe set up a little bit. If I can keep my nuts, I'm like, okay, thank you. No.
Okay, it's not a requirement. Good to know. It was always an optional thing to do, so it was your choice. And the reason for that is they don't have any sexuality in the next level. The decision came from other members of the group and not necessarily Doe himself. Like, they volunteered to do that. You're idiots.
Yeah, you're morons.
Sorry, nope. Yeah. Nope. The reason was to relieve the anxiety about controlling their sexuality. Masturbation wasn't a thing? Like, I don't know. Like, when people say you're being celibate, does masturbation count?
I don't know.
Because if masturbation goes towards celibacy, I'm surprised these people haven't killed each other.
True.
Like, Jesus Christ. I've gone 3 days without masturbating, and I've been a moody son of a bitch. Yes, moodier than usual. I know what the fuck you were going to say.
I was like, wait a minute here.
Oh, yeah.
Hold up.
And for me, it's weird. Because there's times where I've gone days without masturbating and I felt fine.
Yeah.
But then one day, I'm just, like, if I have a day off, I'll just be chronically masturbating the entire day.
Okay.
Like, I can't make... I'm just saying. I mean, I know it's TMI, but I'm just saying it's weird. I never understood that. Like, I can go, there's times where I can go a couple days without masturbating and I'm like, oh, I'm good. Didn't even feel an urge. But then one day it's just like, I don't know if it's because it's all built up to one day or what, but I've had those days.
Yes.
Where I've just been like, one day there's nothing, the next day I'm doing it like every couple hours. Like, God help me. It's fucking weird.
Very weird.
I don't know, if you're a doctor, you want to comment below, fucking explain that shit to me?
Please.
But that was weird. Now, Sawyer wanted to do it. He said his vessel isn't happy about it, but he is overriding his vessel.
Okay.
Yeah. The vessel's not happy about it. No shit, the vessel's not happy about it. Yeah, I'm sitting there going like, no. I'm pretty sure your nuts weren't happy about it either. Like, dude, what the fuck, man?
What did we do to you?
What'd I do? What'd I do?
What did we do, actually?
We didn't do anything. We just sitting here, man. We the dynamic duo, bro. Why you got to... Come on, what? All right. We'll cool down a little bit. Like, dude, just... All you gotta do is just... You're not gonna bother... We don't bother you too much. Just, you know... Pull an Austin Powers. Just yell Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day and we're good. You know? Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day. Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day.
Or for us, Hillary Clinton naked on a cold day. Hillary Clinton naked on a whole day.
Zach.
What?
It's about reducing your sex drive, not burning your corneas and having nightmares. Jesus Christ, don't do that. I am so sorry, everybody. I am so sorry. We'll give you a moment to process that.
Fuck off. Continue.
They did a coin toss to see who would go first. Sawyer lost the coin toss and didn't get castrated. But 8 other members, including Applewhite, do it. So even the leader gets castrated.
So you got lucky. If I was like, no, I'll follow you guys with your batshit ideas, but I'm not chopping my nuts off just because you want me to.
Yeah. Now, that was just Heaven's Gate.
Mm-hmm.
As for the Waco Branch Davidians, they control their sexuality by having the members be celibate. While David takes on multiple wives, including, and oh God, here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
Zach, begin when ready. Underage women and girls.
Okay, first and foremost, you need to go to Heaven's Gate and get castrated yourself, David Koresh. It does not say in the Bible you have any right to do that, as far as I am concerned. So this is the part where if I was there, I'll take a gun from one of this place and shoot you in the head for trying to do that crap, but that's just...
Oh, yeah. I mean, he starts implementing his own rules and lifestyles. He started having sex with a lot of the females in the cult, whether they were married or not. It became a problem because he was doing this with girls as young as 12 years old. He called it the new light. Okay. Now, obviously, we've already established this guy deserves to be castrated and sent to hell for banging underage girls. So we've already established that. Zach made that pretty clear. Which is good, because the last time this was on a subject on the YouTube channel, he was pretty quiet, so it's nice to have him talk about it for a change. So now that we've established that, I'm just going to say this. Okay. This man is calling himself the new Jesus. This should be a red flag right here. Because unless you're one of those people who buys into one of the conspiracy theories or rumors, and again, it's a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that Jesus had a relationship with Mary Magdalene, because that is a rumor, that Jesus, that's why Mary Magdalene was so nice to Jesus during the stages of the cross, like helping him wipe his face and everything, and and providing him with comfort. Not sexually, just like emotional.
Yes.
Through the ordeal, was that they secretly had a relationship. They were dating. If you believe that, then you probably can understand him having sex. But if you don't, you're sitting here going, okay, I can't have any sex, but you can have sex with my wife. And if I have a daughter, she's also an option. Yeah, I'm not falling for that.
No, me neither.
On what planet is that okay?
No planet, not even Mars.
That is not... What? Who is stupid enough to fall for this?
Apparently them.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I could never, I don't care what's going on. There is no cult on this planet. There is no man, woman, or child on this planet that could convince me not to have sex with my woman, but let someone else have sex with my woman.
Not gonna happen.
No. See, I have a rule. If I'm in a relationship with a woman and somebody else is having sex with her, unless it's like a threesome kind of thing, you know, whether it's the regular or the devil's, whatever. As long as there's a threesome involved, I'll compromise with that. You know, like let's say there's a moment in there where I need to take a break, and let's say I'm with two girls and my girl and the other girl want to go at it for a bit while I'm taking a break. That's fine. Because we're all in there together. It's still established. But once that other person leaves the house, they need my consent again to be back into the group. But I'm okay if I need to take a break and it's like, all right, you two have fun for a moment, I'll go take a break. Yeah. You know, because sometimes guys, you need a break in between.
So you do.
So I would get that because I've already consented to that person being involved. So if it's a threesome, that's one thing. But no. I'm not letting my girl bang somebody else, and I ain't doing that cuckold thing where you sit in the corner and watch. Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Me neither.
If you ever hear a story of me watching a guy bang my girlfriend, I was tied to the chair with my eyelids taped back, held hostage, while some psycho banged my girl in front of me. And I'm tied to the chair, so I can't do shit about it. That's the only time I would ever watch something like that. Is if I'm tied to a chair against my will. So this, again, should have been a red flag.
Yes, it should.
Okay? Yes, give me all your women.
Yeah, no.
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 This is goddamn ridiculous. Now, some of the women left rather upset and started making complaints.
Yes.
Some of the women even got pregnant with his child.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Those complaints, along with reports that Koresh is stockpiling weapons, finally make their way to the ATF and the FBI, who team up to go and arrest Koresh. So they find out he's...
Why?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. And it's like, never mind the fact he's stockpiling weapons. Yeah. When they find out he's not only banging all the women,
yeah,
it's like, this is some adult women that are like, he's having sex with all of us. Oh, okay. All right. Some of them are underage. Here we go.
Here we go. Time to go. Woo! Where's your warrant?
Bitch should have led with that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. As soon as they hear underage, they're in the car.
Yes, they are.
Now, to Koresh and his followers, the arrival of armed federal officers outside their compound is the confrontation they've been preparing to fight all along. So again, when shit starts happening, it makes the prophet more believable.
Yeah, that's true.
One day we're going to get in this big fight. No, we're not. No, we're Holy not. Shit, look what's outside.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder whose fault actually it is. It's not the prophecy, because you couldn't keep your dick in your pants. You fuck.
But here's the funny part. When the FBI and the ATF show up, the reason they're all willing to fight alongside Koresh is because they're starting to believe his story.
Yeah, that's true.
So in a way, they helped Koresh get more influence without even knowing it. Not that I'm saying they shouldn't have gone after him. They should have gone after him. Yeah, I'm just saying Koresh had backup because it was part of the prophecy. Now, this takes place on February 28th, 1993. They came to arrest him on gun violations and searched the house for evidence of illegal weapons. In their search warrant, they included allegations of child abuse. They knew he was sleeping with underage children and felt he may be leading them in a suicide pact. The problem was that Koresh and his group had been tipped off, so they had an hour to prepare. And when the ATF pulled up to this remote compound on a barren plain, the Davidians were ready for them. Yeah. In the end of this, 4 agents were dead. 17 were wounded. A number of Davidians, including Koresh, were wounded. 2 were actually killed by ATF gunfire.
Yeah.
Chorus was shot in the stomach and suffered a broken pelvis. To this day, no one knows who shot first.
No one knows. That's a conspiracy. Who do you think did?
I honestly don't know.
Me neither. So like, what about the FBI? I was like, no. I was like, or they were just waiting, or something happened, then boom.
I mean, like I said, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I mean,
if I was to venture a guess, and disclaimer, this is a total guess. I have no fucking clue. I would want to say Chorus shot first. Because the cult is the one that's looking for the apocalyptic battle.
True. And
they believe they're the good guys. As far as they're concerned, we're the good guys.
Yeah.
God is on our side.
God is on our side.
I am the second coming of Jesus. My Father would not abandon us in our time of war.
No.
He would want us to eradicate these apocalyptic scoundrels. So, fucking, yeah, I think he shot first.
Okay.
Why? Because I mean, I'm not saying, and I'm not, because FBI and ATF don't strike me as people in this scenario, maybe in other ones, I don't know, that would shoot first. I know there are some cases with like good cops and bad cops and everything else, but I like that the FBI and the ATF are more disciplined than that.
Oh yeah, they are. I saw this. Like, you got them there, but all of a sudden they got the all of a sudden, like, you guys are crazy. You even got the military involved.
Yes. People who think the government is intrusive tend to think the ATF shot first. The people who think Davidians shot first tend to think they are bad people and David Koresh was holding them hostage. So it tends to believe on that. Now, here's the fucked up part. I think, in a way, both of them are true.
Probably.
I do think the government is very intrusive.
Of course they are, the government.
Especially nowadays.
Of course they are.
But I also think David Koresh was holding a lot of these people hostage.
Yeah, probably. If I was there, it's time to go. No, you can't leave. It's like, shit. It was like...
That's the fucked up part in some cults. They don't let you leave.
You ever seen from Young Guns? You ever seen that movie?
No, but I've heard about it.
There was this one scene where, like, okay, and all of a sudden, Keith Sutherland told Billy Esther's character who was playing Billy the kid, like, dude, this is getting kind of ridiculous here, because all of a sudden they brought the army in. I'm like, I was like, and a big ass tank. I was like, okay, I'll be like Jar Jar. I give up. I surrender. I was like, I don't want time to give up.
I give up.
I give up. I give up. I give up. Hands up. I give up. I give up.
After the gunfight, federal officers laid siege to the compound, while the media laid siege to the federal officers.
Yeah.
The help contained the situation. The ATF and FBI call in support from the local military base, as Zach mentioned. They brought in an Abrams tank to help rescue the hostages. The problem is, the larger the weapons and backup got, the more they believed David, because it seemed like his prophecies are coming true.
Yes.
So again, they're just making these people want to side with David more. Because you're giving them their belief.
Yes, you are.
He said the only way to get to heaven was to go with him through a fiery battle where they knew they were going to die. And this was turning into a fiery battle where they're definitely going to die, because no matter how many weapons they got, you ain't going to beat a fucking tank.
No, you're not.
After a 51-day siege, this lasted 51 days.
51 days.
Federal agents bring it to an end by driving a real tank straight into the compound. Millions of people watched it live on the news, including Heaven's Gate. They saw the compound catch on fire, and they were shocked at the fact that over 70 people, including 24 children, die in that fire. And that's why they got a lot. The ATF and the FBI got a lot of hate.
Yeah, I know.
Because
really their fault. Like, let the kids go, and then you can stay there. But no, you had to do this horrible thing. Ugh.
Because, and that's the thing. Like, shit like this wasn't normal on TV back then.
No, now you see it's like, okay.
Like, now we see shit happening like every other day. Shootings, fires. It's regular TV nowadays. Good luck turning on the news without some type of story like that. Back then, this shit was not normal.
No.
It was not.
Every time you're on Facebook, somebody's dead, somebody got shot. It's like, okay, can we talk about something happy here?
Exactly. So, that's why the whole nation, like, watching this is, like, in shock.
Very true.
And, of course, obviously the children dying was a horrible thing as well.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck in that conundrum. Could they have done a more diplomatic way of setting them free? What else could they have done? And I don't know. Like, they have a compound stockpile with weapons. They had to do something to end it.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
After a certain point, you exercise a lot of options because it's hard to deviate who's a hostage and who's not when a lot of the people are shooting at you.
Yep, that's true.
Doe decided to get a rifle to pose a threat and hope that the cops would come and kill them so they could finally go to the afterlife. But the government had no interest in coming to get this group because they didn't break any laws.
Then they really did. They're just cuckoo. It's like, okay, you want to go do that? You can. Just don't break the law.
And that was it. That's the difference between the Davidians and Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
The Davidians were pretty much domestic terrorists. Heaven's Gate was just fucking weirdos.
Weirdos. He never heard, even though Marshall Applewhite, it says like he never had sex with children.
He didn't have sex with children? He didn't have sex, period.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say period.
Alive, I was like, sit down and actually talk to this dude.
Yeah.
If they ever crash, I'll probably just strap him down to a power chest and, I don't know, castrate him himself. I was like, I will not talk to that guy. I'll talk to that dude, but I won't talk to you. Yeah,
and it's the thing. Like, Heaven's Gate, like I said, the castrations were optional. Nobody was forced to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only question I have with Heaven's Gate is if somebody wanted to leave, were they allowed to do so? That's the fundamental difference. If somebody decided I wanted to leave, were they allowed to leave?
That Sawyer guy left on personal issues. He just got up and walked away.
That's right, he did. So that's why Heaven's Gate, like I said, they're not bad people.
No, they're not. They're just weirdos.
Yeah. They were just fucking weirdos. And this was a movement. They paid their library fines in the week before the suicides. That's how normal these guys were. They didn't do anything wrong.
Nope, they did it.
There was no interest in raiding them, so Marshall Applewhite comes up with an alternate plan for his members to, as he puts it, shed their vehicles, their vessels. In 1993, just months after Waco, Heaven's Gate stages their comeback when they take out a full-page ad in a national newspaper offering the one chance for humanity to escape our planet and to achieve immortal life in this perfected next level, heavenly state. This time around, Heaven's Gate starts blending their message with pop culture.
Oh, okay.
Instead of calling Marshall Jesus Christ, they call him the Captain, which was inspired by Star Trek. The Next Generation.
Star Trek. Star Wars is better Star Trek. Fuck off, Elvis. Anyways, moving on.
Yes.
Why do you think I call him a pretty boy Trekkie?
Yeah.
Trekkie. I even say this. Harry Potter's better than Buff. Moving on. No.
Captain's Log. 43-7. Inside the Heaven's Gate compound. I have no nuts. And we're watching, right now we're watching TV. I'm trying to remember what it was like never having sex. Knowing that I will soon be going to the afterlife and hanging out with aliens.
Yeah.
I
hope, have fun with E.T. and the ones from Mars Attack.
There seems to be no signs of intelligent life. Oh my, I must tell you. You know the saddest part about being on this ship? Ever since I came out of the closet, I'm no longer allowed to touch the captain's log.
Okay, moving on.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Excuse
you don't
me,
think that guy was gay, then I'm not a ginger.
Excuse me, sir. I am not Sean Connery. I am George Takei.
Good to know.
Okay.
I'm the broke soul ginger Zack Scott. Can we continue this, please?
Oh my, I love you.
Shut the fuck up! Start seeing it! Call me a fucking weirdo. Greasy alien looking motherfucker, you.
Easy. It's a joke, bro. They loved the show because it played into what they were preaching. No relationships, no egos, sailing around the galaxy, taking care of planets, helping civilizations, and bringing peace and tranquility and a utopian ideal.
And the uniforms look like pajamas. Moving on.
Yes. They also started embracing the internet and became a business known as Higher Source, which was a web design and hosting company that would create websites and had a number of clients. This was back when you had to know HTML, Java, and JavaScript coding in order to make a website. Like now today with like Wix and stuff, which is what I use for my website. By the way, VinnyTheBooch.com. Check it out. One-stop shop for everything Booch. My merch is up there. The podcast is up there.
We need
upcoming shows.
We need to make the shirt. We could get letters.
Yeah, we're going to put that up in the merch store at some point as well.
We're going to get letters.
But yes, VinnyTheBooch.com on Wix. VinnyTheBooch.com.
We never got any letters because of me.
They made a lot of money designing websites for clients and allowed them to live comfortably in a mansion-gated community.
Mansion? Wow, where do you get the money from that from?
The website design.
Okay.
So that's the thing. That means back in the 90s, if you ran an internet.com business in the 90s and your website was made by a company called Higher Source, you were working with Heaven's Gate. Just know that. Heaven's Gate designed your website if you got it done by Higher Source. Now, during this time, they attracted a few members from across the country. One person in particular was 21-year-old Gail Mater. She sent a letter to her parents saying, "Dear Mom and Dad, just a little note wishing everyone there the best. I think my choices in life might puzzle you at times, but I really want you to be aware that I'm doing exactly what I want to, and it makes me very happy." So she seems like she's excited about doing this. Now, according to her mother, Gail was afraid of dying. When their cat died, she didn't want to see him. And when her grandfather died, she didn't want to go to the funeral. Now, before anybody judges that, I'm going to say this. For some people, death is hard to deal with. There are some people who just can't bring themselves to go to a funeral. It doesn't mean they don't love the person. It just means death is hard. It's kind of like when someone's in a hospital with like breathing tubes and stuff up their nose. Some people just can't watch it. They can't handle it. It's like that episode of Fresh Prince when Uncle Phil had a heart attack. Yeah. Carlton couldn't bring himself to go to the hospital until Will yelled at him and called him selfish, which I don't think Carlton was being selfish. I think he was just scared. And then eventually he brings himself to go to the hospital. Yeah. And visit his dad. Yes. And he explains to his dad that, you know, I always thought you were Superman, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there. He goes, "I'm sorry I haven't been your Superman." He goes, "Dad, you don't have to be sorry. It's not your fault." And they had that emotional hug at the end. So death can be hard for people. So I can get that. So, but I will say this. This is my compromise to anybody out there. If going to a funeral is hard for you, and you don't want, you can't go to the ceremony, I get that. But you owe it to that loved one to at least one time visit the tombstone.
Very true.
After the burial, go up to the tombstone. You owe that much.
Yes, you do. To
someone you care about. If you can't make it to the funeral, that's fine. If it's hard for you, that's fine. But at some point, you got to go to that gravestone, look at it, say a few words, pay some respects, put a flower, whatever. But, you know, you don't have to necessarily go to the funeral if it makes you uncomfortable. Or if you're okay with the funeral, but there's people around you and your family that you don't get along with, you can just send a flower, sign the book, take your kids to the beach.
Yeah, true.
You don't have to sit in a church with people that don't like you or you don't like them because you feel like you have to be there.
I got you.
Now, Gail joined because she wouldn't have to fear death or pain. So the fact that knowing that they would go peacefully helped her.
Yes.
Her family goes to an anti-cult convention. This is some real shit. As they fear for her safety, they learned what to say and what not to say to people in cults. Because apparently there's a way to talk to them.
Yeah.
Because if you say the wrong thing...
you can set them off and maybe go do something more.
Not just that. No, just not just that, but they won't talk to you anymore. Like if somebody's in a cult and you tell them right away, you're in a cult, they're brainwashing you. You're a fool for believing that. What makes them think they're going to want to come talk to you again? You have to approach it in a special way.
Yes.
Now, they don't go into detail about that, but I know that that's, in a way, that's what they're referring to. Now, she said she was never coming home. But, here's the interesting thing, though. She had contact with her family.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if Heaven's Gate had arrangements like that. I know they were real big on getting away from families and stuff. I don't know if they lightened up on that or not.
I don't know.
But either way, it's fine. So, after Gale joins, Sawyer leaves to deal with personal issues that he feels are preventing him from reaching the next level. And Applewhite finally receives the sign from the heavens that he spent the past 2 decades waiting for.
Yeah.
In the mid-90s, conspiracy theories start to go mainstream. Lord knows we've seen aplenty.
Yes, we have.
There's even a show hosted by someone whose name I won't mention because it triggers him. But after Waco, fundamental Christians become convinced that the government is out to get them. But for people who believe in the existence of aliens, it's NASA that they believe is conspiring against them. Then, in the summer of 1995, 2 amateur astronomers named Alan Hale and Thomas Bopp spot something NASA has seemingly missed. A massive comet, 30 miles in diameter, hurtling through space. Heaven's Gate believes that there's a deeper truth that's attached to it. See, the story of the end of Heaven's Gate cannot be separated from the claims that Hale-Bopp comet had a companion. They believe there's more to the comet. A giant planet-sized UFO that was trailing the comet. They believe that NASA and the government were conspiring to hide it from the people so they wouldn't want to go.
Yeah, that's true.
For Applewhite, this is his ticket to the stars. They were ready and wanting to leave.
Very true.
So they believe the comet is bringing the ship that's going to take them home.
Very true.
The Heaven's Gate exits took place over a 3-day period. They dressed in their uniforms, and then in ritual order, they committed suicide. They ingested poison, tied bags over their heads, and suffocated to death. So that's the difference. The Davidians were going to die in a fight in a blaze of glory. The Heaven's Gate, they did a mass suicide.
Yes, they did.
In this suicide, 18 men and 21 women were dead. And they tied... Now, this was a method recommended by a euthanasia handbook. That's where they got the idea of taking the poison and tying the bags over their heads. Because if the bag's over your head, you can't breathe. That's why you see in certain horror movies when they try to kill somebody, or in mafia movies, they'll tie the bag over the head. Suffocate you. And the last 2 people didn't have anyone to clean up for them, so they were found with the bag still over their heads. So because after someone died, they would take the bag off their head. But the last two, had the bags over their heads.
Yep, they did.
Despite the tragic deaths of members of Heaven's Gate and the Waco Branch Davidians before them, by the decade's end, they become a punchline.
Yep, they do.
Like, they start being used in SNL skits, and people basically start laughing and making fun of them. But what drove them to their fates will continue to haunt the nation right into the new millennium.
Yes, that's true.
So, this was another example of comedians trying to make humor out of a tragedy. And I've always said this. As long as it's funny and done in good taste, I don't have a problem with it. If it's a bad joke in bad taste, fuck you. That's the difference between being a comic and just being an asshole.
Very true.
A good comedian can make it funny.
Yes, they can.
So I'm not saying that this is not a topic you can make fun of.
No.
But you better make sure everything's on point.
Yes.
And do it in a way where people will laugh.
Very true.
Okay?
Yep.
Because I do believe that humor can be used to get through trauma. In the last days of the 90s, it's not just doomsday fanatics who are preparing for the end of the world. Even military experts are bracing for the millennium Y2K bug, the computer software problem that many fear will lead to global catastrophes. Then, the clock strikes midnight,
and nothing happens.
Nothing. Everybody's just, set all acquaintance be forgot, and days of all lang syne. Happy New Year, Lieutenant Dan! Woo! That's what happened. Or if you were a kid in the 90s, you know what you probably did in the new millennium?
What?
You probably did. I don't know if you did this. Remember Nickelodeon was making people do the wish bags?
Yeah.
Where you wish for something, you blow it full of air, and then when the clock strikes midnight, you pop the bag, and your wish would come true? My whole family did. I somehow convinced my family to fucking do that. I had one, Sonny had one, Mom had one, Dad had one. I think Grandma had one too.
Oh, okay.
Penny had one too. Like, she was like, we all just went, boom! But the arrival of the 21st century does little to ease the anxieties that got triggered back in the 90s. And the two main examples, of course, are a year later, 9/11.
Yep.
Which was, you know, for us, that was our Pearl Harbor.
It was our Pearl Harbor. I remember that.
You know, and that's why there's certain people today that every year they go about this, they never understand it. It was one of the scariest times in America. I said we want to say it again. Like, there were people who were scared. Mm-hmm. There were people who were angry, and there were people who wanted revenge.
Yep.
So people can bitch about the war all they want. But let me tell you something. When 9/11 went down, as someone who lived in the tri-state area, they were mad that it took us that long to go to war.
Yep.
They was like, we want to go to war now. Yeah. We want to find these motherfuckers. We want to kill these motherfuckers. They attacked our country. Whoever it was. And people can say whatever they want, whether they think it's true, not true, inside job, not inside job, whatever. I'm just saying how people felt at the time.
Yes, that's true as well.
And I know this because I lived up there.
I was in Virginia at the time.
Yeah.
Not anywhere near, but still, I was like,
And then, of course, they also bring up the pandemic that we went through 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 3 years ago at the time.
Story short, getting COVID back at that time. It's just a really, really shitty upgraded version of the flu. That's basically it.
Yeah.
But I was like, if you realize, like, yeah, just stay home and do what? Drink. That's what I did.
And, of course, both Heaven's Gate and the Branch Davidians believed that you couldn't trust the government and couldn't trust society. Back in the 90s, that was viewed as extreme and in violation of social norms.
Today, no.
Not trusting the government is the norm.
You see it all the time on Twitter and Facebook. Fuck the government. I say, yeah, hell no. Who cares? Who gives a shit?
Because here's the thing. Everybody says fuck the government, and then they just keep voting for the same fucking people.
Exactly.
Like, and then it's like, everybody says fuck the government. Didn't you vote that guy into power?
Yes, you did.
So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sorry. I'll say this right now. Because at the time you're listening to this, at the time that you're listening to this episode, we're either close to 2023 or we're at 2023. Depends on when I get this video out.
Yes.
At the time that we're recording this, it's still 2022.
Yep.
But I'll say this. If you voted for Biden and you're mad at the job he is doing right now, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Nope.
I didn't vote for the motherfucker.
I didn't either.
I have no plans to do so in 2024.
Me neither.
So I'm allowed to bitch and complain. Because I didn't vote this motherfucker into power. But if you voted for him, I don't care what your reason was, you are partially responsible for what he's done, so you have no right to complain. Because you gave him the power, even though everyone around you was like, no fucking way you should do it. Anyway. It was the beginning movement of the distrust for the government. And that same movement has become very, very dominant in the U.S. In 2020, it was now in the White House, where people believe in conspiracies and there is a deep state government working against us.
I heard that before. I believe it when I see it. Okay. Like government conspiracy. Who gives a shit? I don't. I'm just going to go off and take more taxes out of my check. Thanks, but
here's the thing.
What can he do?
My number one thing is this. I don't trust politicians.
I don't trust politics.
So when someone says this guy has no experience in politics, that makes me want to vote for that person even more. You know why?
Why?
Because if you have zero experience in politics, you have zero experience in fucking over the American people.
Very true.
Because that's what politicians do. And notice, I didn't put a party attached to that. No. I just said politicians.
Politicians. Cocksuckers.
Exactly. And, Zach, you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, don't join a cult just because you're bored. Don't join a cult because you're sad in life.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful green plant I can make all your troubles disappear.
And it's almost legal everywhere.
Yeah, except
almost.
For us. Because we live in a fucking Bible Belt.
Yeah.
But what can you do when you live in a fucking Bible Belt? Fuck you, Kim. Anyways, Kim does him. Moving on.
Yes. That, ladies and gentlemen, will wrap up this episode of Boochcast Reviews Darkside of the 90s. Zach, as always, thank you for joining me. Make sure you guys tune in next week. We got a fun episode this time around. It's going to be crazy. We're going to have some shit to say.
Yes, we will.
But it's going to be fun.
Fun.
And that is, of course, hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
The East Coast, West Coast media war.
Yes, that's true.
And I know some of you are probably thinking, are we really going to hear two white boys talk about hip-hop? Yes. Yes, you are. Tune in next week. So, all right, make sure you guys follow us on all of our podcast platforms. Links are down in the description box below. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Links will be down in the description box below. Support the Boochcast. Go to anchor.fm/theboochcast/support. The link is down in the description box below. And, of course, hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified so you never miss another episode of Boochcast Reviews Darkside of the 90s, as well as other additional Boochcast YouTube content. We'll talk to you guys next time. Until then, pizza, baby!
The power is yours.
Captain Planet?
Yes.
Captain Planet.
Yes.
Fuck my life.